Hey guys, Marsingin here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to be taking a look at another very fun unit that has finally gotten a 200% leader skill thanks to the LR STR cooler, and that is of course the Baby JANEMBA from the Dragon Ball Heroes banner. So as always, here's full level 10 links. I actually did not have this guy before the last Heroes celebration, so I think I picked up a copy with the grey stone that they released after doing some summons on the guaranteed featured EZA banner. Managed to get him up to 2 dupes, so obviously that's what you want in terms of dupe level, so you can get all of the abilities. As you can see, I've given him a pretty wide mix of crit, additional and dodge, because when we look at his passive, he recovers 12% HP and gets attack and defense 120% at the start of the turn. So a nice little bit of a heal at the start of the turn is always good. Especially, we talked about this in previous videos with other characters, like when we did the Garlic Jr. one. 12% is quite a lot now when you've got teams that have like 70k or 700k HP. So very, very good. And then he has a high chance to dodge, so 50%. Then he gets an additional dodge chance, 12%, within the same turn with each attack evaded. So he has incremental dodge. So once he's dodged like a certain number of times, he basically has a 100% chance to dodge for the turn, because that has no cap. And then he gets an additional attack and defense 120% when performing a super if HP is 60% or more. Now, the only downside to this unit is that is calculated when he attacks. So, say you have him in slot 2, and the unit in slot 1 gets hit with a super, let's say by Cell Max, and you lose like 80% of your HP, then when he comes to attack, he's not going to get that 120% buff, because you're not at 60% or more HP, and then obviously that does massively affect his performance. So, in terms of super attack, he raises attack for 1 turn, does supreme damage, and massively lowers defense, so not a crazy super attack effect, although obviously if he gets an additional, he is going to be doing a little bit more damage. So yeah, we're going to check him out here on the Cooler team. Now, one of his best actual viable link partners is this Cooliza. They share 4 links. His best actual link partners are like the free-to-play Super Baby Vegeta 2 or whatever, or Super Baby 1, who you're obviously not going to be using, and then the LR Baby. So when he eventually gets an EZA, that would be a pretty good rotation, but they only share 4 links as well. So we're going to go ahead and put him in slot 1 here. Obviously, ideally, we want to see him go off here and get a bunch of dodges. So at the start of the turn, with the support from Garlic Jr., he's only got 191k defense. Now remember, as long as we don't lose 40% of our HP, we are going to get a 120% buff on super. So after super attacking, his defense is actually fairly reasonable, but obviously he's going to completely rely on the dodges. So you can see in slot 1 against the tech enemy, we did not get the dodges. We did have enough HP though to now raise our defense, and of course now we get a dodge. Can we dodge this? That's the one we really wanted to dodge. 214 is actually, I guess, not too bad considering type disadvantage. Of course, turn 1 of the showcase of him, he dodged, what, 1 attack out of all of those and 8 the super, so of course he did. Now, obviously, if you want to use him as a defensive unit, I could see the argument for just going full dodge in his hidden potential, because each time he dodges, his chance to dodge increases. So if you give him a very high amount of dodge in the hidden potential system, you get to a point where you're very likely that he's just never going to get touched. But the only problem is, then that's all he's going to be doing. And that's why I gave mine a fairly decent spread across all of his abilities, because he actually can, on the right rotation, like with support, like his attack stat on that first turn wasn't terrible. So he can do some decent damage. His post-super attack defense is good, even if he doesn't dodge. Obviously, against a tech enemy and then also taking a super attack is definitely not an ideal way to begin for him. But he definitely is a unit that I think can be very, very useful on a lot of these teams. He links up reasonably well with the LR JANEMBA, but unfortunately they don't share big bad bosses. And but that can work out quite nicely on a team where, say, you want to get, you want to get those build-up attacks for LR JANEMBA in slot 2. So you can go ahead and put this Baby JANEMBA in slot 1. Hopefully he gets the dodges off. LR JANEMBA gets his attacks in slot 2, builds up his stats, and then you switch them And so obviously then Baby JANEMBA gets that bit of an advantage by getting his super attack off before he's getting attacked when he's in slot 2. And LR JANEMBA fully built up is in slot 1. But like I said, the only unfortunate downside to running that rotation, whilst it can be very powerful defensively, LR JANEMBA obviously does not get big bad bosses from that rotation. So we don't pick up any extra orbs from the tech one. What's our HP? I think Cooliza probably kills, actually. So we do have higher defense with Baby JANEMBA. The only good thing, because it can be a good and a bad thing, the good and bad thing about his extra 120% activating or deactivating mid-turn is at least if you start the turn slightly below the HP restriction, at least we dodged the super this time. If you start the turn slightly below the HP threshold for his passive, but then you pick up orbs or you use an active skill or anything, or use an item, then obviously he is then going to get that buff. So we get the additional super attack there, we get the crit, and we finish him off. So that was a pretty good example of a decent turn for Baby JANEMBA. Obviously we would have preferred him to dodge the super attack on the very first turn, or we'd have preferred him to dodge the normal attack on that last turn as well, because he still took like 70 odd K. So whilst you can use him as a slot 1 unit, I feel like you got to get lucky with that RNG, right? Because otherwise, like 9 million from Cooler. Otherwise, you know, he's not going to look great. I mean, the first turn of this video is a pretty good example. He ate so many of those attacks, and obviously did not really end up painting him in the best light, considering this is a specific showcase video for him. But when he does his thing, obviously he can look very crazy. Like, his chance to dodge is not as high at first until he starts dodging, but he can give you turns where he just looks like UI Goku, where he just dodges repeatedly. Because that's the thing of having the incremental dodge. Once you get that first one, it's like the dominoes start to fall, basically. And you can, every time you get another dodge, you're just even more likely that the next attack is going to be a dodge. So we'll go ahead and keep him in slot 1 for now. Unfortunately, he links up super well. I say super well, 4 links up well with Cooliza, but doesn't get the support from him because he's not a Wicked Bloodline or Fusions character. So that is a little bit unfortunate, but we'll go ahead and do this. What's Cooliza's defense looking like at this point? 122k. Yeah, we haven't gotten a huge amount of stacks off with him yet. Ideally, he doesn't get supered by Oceanus here. But there's the first dodge. And there's another one. So now we're at the point where, with the hidden potential factored in as well, his chance to dodge is incredibly high. And post-super, he takes double-digit damage. I knew, as I was saying that, I was like, he's going to get hit by that extra attack, isn't he? But he only took double digits. And that's with no support as well. Because, like I say, he's not getting the support from Cooliza. So that is definitely pretty good. His attack stats are reasonable. I'm definitely... as much as I think he's a fun unit to use, and of course Cooliza takes the super, as much as I think he is a fun unit to use, I'm definitely not saying now with this 200% leader skill, like he is a must-run unit on Cooler's team. But I do think he is a fun and still very viable unit in all of these events that do not cancel dodge. Because that's one of the big things I hear people say about the Heroes units, like every year, is that they don't really have any longevity, and like once the, you know, the hype of the Heroes celebration is over, like are you actually even going to use those units anymore? And I think he's still very much a usable unit. So let's see, we can't get a super attack with you. I would like to ideally get Fat JANEMBA's passive off as well. But well, actually, if I do this, actually no, let's do this. And then, of course, I bet that's changed the layout, hasn't it? Yep. Oh, there you go. Now we can get 4 orbs for you. So we can get the support and we can get the damage reduction as well. Dodge from Golden Freezer. His passive, yeah, his passive is still active. For a second then, I wasn't sure how much health we'd lost because we've got the Android 17 and 18 support memory to go off. But yeah, people always say, like, the Heroes units, once the hype of the celebration is over, that's it, you don't use them anymore. And some of them, it does feel like they've aged out. Some of them are on really good teams, like the Tech Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. He's obviously on the Gods team. He links up really well with other, like, powerful units like the physical Goku once he goes Super Saiyan 3. And those rotations can obviously be very, very powerful. But some of the Heroes units, it does feel like, unless they're going to get an easy A or like they're getting the 200% lead this year, which I do think will happen, it feels like a lot of those Heroes units kind of end up without a place that you can really use them. And obviously this cooler team is just giving that opening for you to be able to use this baby JANEMBA and for him to actually be somewhat decent. So what's your defense up to now? 239. Still not ideal if you take a super. You still don't get any extra links. So I guess the thing is, realistically, we just want to put you in slot 1. It's just the fact that the first attack that comes our way is always the most scary, right? Because Kuliza, he's here to get stacks. He gets much better the more he supers. He definitely wants to be in slot 2. But baby JANEMBA, you can get away with putting him in slot 1. And I mean, he's hitting nearly 5 million attack when we've got support on the rotation. And he dodged both of the attacks that were targeted at him, which is exactly what we'd want him for. I mean, you could, if you really want to roll those dice and play the RNG game, you could use baby JANEMBA in the Cell Max event. Like, as long as the boss doesn't cancel dodge, you know, he's going to be perfectly fine. 72k off the super from Coolies is pretty good. He's getting nice and built up now. Of course, the super attacks keep coming in slot 2 when we put baby JANEMBA in slot 1. Because, obviously, what you want to ideally do is put him wherever there are the most attacks. But as I said, like Kuliza, if you guys watched the showcase that we did for Kuliza, he gets all of his stats on super. So you, even after getting like a bunch of stacks, you really cannot like put him in slot 1. Because he gets all of his defense on super attack. So if you're going to run him on a rotation with baby JANEMBA, I mean, obviously baby JANEMBA, if I bring up his links here, like if you do want to run him on the cooler team, you can run him as a slot 1 unit that is there to just tank, well, dodge, I guess, more so, is there to tank hits. But when it comes to characters he shares 3 links with, there's LR JANEMBA, Prime Battle Freezer's on there, that Tech Cooler who will be getting an easy A and potentially will be very good. Tech JANEMBA when he's in his final form. Sealess is another character that I think I'll do a 200% video for, because he's getting an easy A this year with the hero stuff, and I think he's going to end up being really, really good. Shares 3 links with Transforming Frieza all the way up to 3rd form. So there's like a couple of units that you would want to run on Cooler's team that you would run on main rotation, but that you wouldn't necessarily want to put in slot 1. And then baby JANEMBA can just fit in that slot as the unit that can go in slot 1 and dodge the hits, tank the hits after. Because after supering, his defense is actually very reasonable. But yeah, obviously it's all about the dodging. I wouldn't bring him into events where you can't dodge at all, like Red Zone Broly, for example, because whilst his defense is reasonably good after supering, unless you have a scouter effect in play, which is obviously not super easy on Cooler's team, although you can run like the Ginyu Force units that have it, especially like the free-to-play Jace, I wouldn't probably bring him against Broly, because without that scouter effect, then obviously you are opening yourself up to some potential mishaps. Speaking of which, I did this. There you go. I knew they'd fall down right. I missed the key with baby JANEMBA, so we could actually get the support passive from Fat JANEMBA. So now we have the support from him. We'll go ahead and get the Dokkan attack here. I was going way slower than I thought. So 4.6 he is here with the support from JANEMBA, which, considering his defensive capability, the fact that he's only got 4 links active and then 30% support, that's definitely not too bad. He's obviously not supposed to be an offensive unit, but decent damage. We get the additional, and then can we dodge the super at least? We shouldn't take too much even if we don't, but of course we don't. Well, still take 200k, and then we dodge. Okay. So, I mean, this video, as much as I was kind of hoping we'd come into this and baby JANEMBA would just stunt all over everybody and dodge, like, every single attack. But unfortunately, it is an RNG unit. It's just like when you take UI Goku into, like, Extreme Super Battle Road, and then he just doesn't dodge, like, a single attack and you get destroyed. Unfortunately, that can happen. But, you know, baby JANEMBA, he can be pretty good. I feel like this video hasn't done the best service to him in kind of showing that him as a unit that you should actually really consider using. But obviously, at the end of the day, it comes down to RNG. People are going to get those runs where he dodges every single attack, and then people are going to get those runs where he constantly gets tagged by a super and you get killed, especially if you try him against tough tech bosses like Cell Max. But if RNG is on your side, then that incremental dodging, like I say, once you get those first couple of dodges off, the chance is still not 0, of course, but he's very unlikely to not dodge after that. And he can start looking really, really good. So Obviously, we never know what else is going to come out in the future. A new, like, a Dokkan Fest baby, for example, who brings easy A's for, like, LR Baby, the old, like, Super Baby 2, stuff like that, could definitely be a big benefit for this unit, especially if they come onto, like, Cooler's team, because they're probably going to be on Terrifying Conquerors and Transformation Boost, so that would be another good way that this guy could get a buff. So I think the future is potentially bright for Baby Janemba. Whilst he may not look the best right now, well, he's got locked in slot 2. Okay, well, let's go ahead and do the Supernova. For some reason, I thought the active skill skip was on, but never mind. We'll go ahead and hit the old Supernova. Cancel out the first attack here. I mean, Kuliza's got type advantage. I wonder what is his defense at the start of the turn, because he's been stacking pretty consistently. That was the friend one, wasn't it? Yeah, 2 dupes. So he's at 244 at the start of the turn, which when you consider he gets all of his defense on super, that is actually very, very good, because his defense after supering here is actually going to be incredibly high. So we'll do that, and then we'll do this. So as long as we don't get supered in slot 1, there's only 1 attack. It'll be just my luck that this Spirit Bomb cancelled out a normal attack, and then we get hit with a super. But now that Kuliza's actually super attacked, and now gotten another super, his defense is probably close to like 600k at this point. So very, very good. And then 4 million is like the baseline with no support for Baby Janemba, which is pretty decent. Jumps up by 250,000 with the additional super. And then, yeah, there's the dodges. And there you go. So, Baby Janemba definitely can be very good. He's not like the best unit in the game or anything, but if you get that good RNG, he can save you from taking a lot of damage. So, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. So, that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.